The WPL auction is almost amongst us, and with a host of international and domestic stars up for grabs, let's quickly assess how all five WPL teams stack up in line leading up to the all important mega auction in 2 weeks' time. So, if you guys didn't catch up with the rules, here are the key real takeaways from the retention rules. Each franchise could retain a maximum of three capped Indian players, two overseas players, and at most two uncapped players. If a franchise wanted to retain five players, at least one of them had to be an uncapped Indian player. So Mumbai Indians took upon that. So the Delhi Capitals, will get on to both of them very soon. And this mega auction would also consist of each WTO team given right to match options, although again Mumbai and Delhi, having retained five players each, will not have that option. All of RCB, Gujarat Giants, and UP Warriors will have that opportunity to exercise in the mega auction. Each franchise will have a purse of 15 crore, and the mega auction, as I inferred, will be taking place in 2 weeks' time on the 27th of November in Delhi. Without further ado, let's get started. Just seeing each of the franchise, how they are stacking up, who all they retain and released. We're going to kick off with the defending champions, two-time WPL champions, Mumbai Indians. They ended up retaining their core, and I think their retention was pretty straightforward. But nevertheless, credit to the management. I think they got it spot on. They retained Nat Skipper for 3.5 crore, Captain Harmanpreet Kaur for 2.5 crore, Hayley Matthews for 1.75 crore, Amanjot Kaur for 1 crore, and G Kamalini for 50 lakhs. I think for Mumbai, their players almost picked themselves. Skipper Bond Harmanpreet Kaur was going nowhere. Amanjot Kaur was a very obvious pickup. I think the toss-up would have been between Hayley Matthews and Amelia Kerr. Both of them are outstanding all-rounders, great value additions, both with bat and ball in hand. But I do think Hayley Matthews is a superior all-rounder. The skill set she provides both with bat and ball, and she has been the better performer as well in the last cycle. So I think that was the correct decision, as difficult as it would have been to release someone of the quality of Amelia Kerr. And I also very much like the Camillini retention. At 16, she is a serious talent, and I think with wicket keepers domestically in India and internationally, there's a real dearth of talent. There are very few players. You're looking at Richa Ghosh, Kamalini, Yastika Bhatia, and that's really about it in India. And overseas, of course, as well, options are limited. So I think investing in someone of the talent, of the ability of Kamalini, uh, I think is commendable. And with her being retained, I hope, I expect to see her being a prominent figure in the starting 11. So very much excited to seeing that prospect. She's certainly got a lot of ability in abundance, and she's in the perfect setup to really, prosper and flourish. Uh, these retentions do mean that Mumbai Indians will head into the auction with 5.75 crore, no RTM option, but I'm sure they're going to look to buy back a few of their players, notably Amelia Kerr, Nadine de Klerk, Yastika Bhatia, Chloe Tyron, Shabni Mishmal. I think also Sajiva Sajana, I think will definitely be another one. Maybe perhaps Saika Ishak as well. So they have a fair few options who I'm sure they look to get on board. But also with Mumbai Indians, one thing we've already seen, both with men's and women's team, is how well they scout. So I'm sure that'll be on point, and we'll see uh, them pick up some exciting Indian and international talent, because they will be heading into the purse with the joint lowest purse. So yeah, will be very exciting to see how Mumbai Indians go about their business. Moving on to the three-time runners-up, unfortunately, the most unluckiest team in the WPL so far, the Delhi Capitals. They ended up retaining five players as well, much like the Mumbai Indians, which includes all four of their premium players at the same price range, which I really like. Jemima Rodriguez, Shafali Verma, Annabelle Sutherland, and Marathon Cap, all at 2.2 crore. And then Nikki Pizzard, of course, India under 19 women's captain, and again another very talented wicketkeeper batsman for 50 lakh. With Delhi Capitals, I think the difficult decision would have been whether to keep hold of or release the captain and the leading run scorer for Delhi Capitals in the last cycle, last 3 years, Meg Lanning. She's been in really good form as well in the 100, and now, of course, the WBBL going on. I'm sure she'll be amongst the runs like always. So that would have definitely been a difficult decision, but I think they've taken the right call. Uh, I think Meg Lanning, as prolific, as experienced a leader and batsman as she is, I think she's definitely more gettable in the mega auction at a cheaper price. So I think they should be able to buy her back reasonably in a reasonable range as compared to had they had released the Annabelle Sutherland or Marathon Cap. I think both of them would have fetched a far greater value in the auction and would have been much harder to rebuy, especially as they as well don't have any RTM. So I think they took the right call. We'll see how it goes, or if Meg Lanning will in fact be back in the Delhi Capital setup. Uh, but much like the Mumbai Indians, as they've retained 5 players, it means that they're left with a 5.7 crore purse in the auction with no RTMs available. Amongst other notable releases were the fantastic left arm spinner Sri Charani, Radha Yadav with a key performer, so with Arundhati Reddy. They also have the likes of Alex Capsey, who was a good player, a good performer, Jess Jonathan, Shikha Pandey, I think they was outstanding. So they have a lot of options. Tita Sandhu, Minu Money, they really formulated a fantastic squad. I'm sure there's a number of players they'd want back. I'm not sure how much, how many they'll be able to get back given the purse, but I'm sure they're going to give it a good go. And captaincy wise as well, like their DC head coach Jonathan Batty in third, I think it's going to be one of Jemima or Annabelle, given his words. So it wouldn't surprise me again if they go back in for Meg Lanning. I think she's still probably the best option. If not, I see Annabelle Sutherland probably getting the go ahead. Moving on to one-time WPO champion Royal Challengers Bengaluru. Um, they have decided to retain 4 players, which included Captain Smriti Mandhana for 3.5 crore, Richa Ghosh, the explosive wicketkeeper batsman for 2.75 crore, Elise Perry for 2 crore, and Shriyanka Patil for 60 lakh. Um, RCB also had a pretty tough, retention and release conundrum, much like Delhi Capitals and Mumbai Indians. A lot of quality players they possessed, but I think RCB have found a good balance, fairly good balance, giving themselves just slightly more than the other 2 franchises as well, heading into the auction with 6.15 crore on the table and one RTM option available as well. Um, so I think they did fairly well. Of course, they could have easily retained um, more another player, but the point is again, it would have had to be an uncapped Indian. I think the only real option would have been Prema Rawat, who's certainly been doing really well domestically. But I'm not sure she would, fetch 50 lakh in the mega auction. So maybe they could look to rebuy her. But in terms of the 4 key capped marquee players, as RCB just retained 4 capped players, I think they've got a spot on. It would have been tough. There's notable key performers that are missed out. Most prominently for me would probably be Kanika Huja. I think Georgia Barham, Sophie Molyneux, Renuka Singh to an extent, Sophie Devine, Danny Bright was good. I thought Sneh Rana was really, really good last season. She would have definitely been amongst the options as well. Um, but I think they've done a decent job. Asha Shobna as well is a fantastic bowler. Joshita was is talented. So they again, like the 3 biggest best franchises in WPL so far, they would have had a tough time, but I think they've settled with the right call and a decent enough purse to hopefully look to buy back a lot of these players, like I've just mentioned. So it's going to be interesting who they pick the RTM on as well. That's going to be some mind games there. Will be very captivating to see who they go for. But I think they've done a pretty good job, and yeah, let's see how it goes. They're also going to be under a new head coach with Malulan Rajaran given the reins after Luke Williams, unfortunately had to part ways. He won't be the head coach moving forwards, but he did a great job. But so it's going to be interesting under his leadership, first time as a head coach, how he will go about it as well. Moving on to the Gujarat Giants, they have decided to retain just the two players, which included captain Ash Gardner for 3.5 crore and Beth Mooney for 2.5 crore, which meant that they've spent 6 crore, two-fifths of their budget, 40%, and they're going to be left with 9 crore in the auction with three RTM options available. Unfortunately, I think I've been pretty much on point, and I've liked all the retention, the releases, especially that all of Mumbai, RCB, and Delhi did. But I think Gujarat is where I do find it a little bit bizarre. Again, Beth Mooney for me is one of the most consistent, reliable international batters going around. She'll give you 300, 400 run seasons as a lock. She's also a wicket keeper, which is valuable. So she has her value, no doubt. She's a wonderful player. However, given the fact that you had Phoebe Litchfield and Laura Wolford in your ranks, I do find it really bizarre they opted for Beth Mooney. Phoebe Litchfield for me is the most prominent, T20 talent going around. She's got all the shots all in the world. Her range is unbelievable. I think she's a seriously talented player. So to let go of her, I think was really bizarre. And I think they're gonna, despite having 9 crore, I think they're gonna have a pretty tough time getting her back in the auction when we get onto the next team because yeah, I think that was a serious miss. Wolvard would have definitely been amongst the talk as well. She's been in the richest reign of form, so of course that would have been a doubt. But I just think 2.5 was too much for Beth Mooney. I think you could have got her back at a cheaper cost in the auction, and I also think again Phoebe Litchfield is the more superior T20 talent moving forward as well. If you when you have an eye to the future, so I do think Gujarat missed a trick there. And given so fact they've only just got two players for 40% of their budget, I'm not most convinced by the strategy that they've played on. But let's see how they go about. They do have a larger purse than three of the franchises in the auction, so hopefully they'll have plenty of opportunity to bully those franchises and have their way, pick the teams, pick up the players they want. So in terms of notable players though, as they released, as I inferred upon, Phoebe Litchfield is the biggest one for me. So is Laura Wolvard. Deandra Doughton was brilliant last season. Harleen Deol was pretty good. Uh, if we look into their bowlers, I thought Kashfi Gautam was really good. Um, she's obviously still uncapped. I thought she was an option. They could have gone towards, but they opted not to. But I'm sure she'll be someone they'll look to get buyback. Um, you also have, Tanuja Karnwar was pretty good. But I think with Gujarat Giants, there's a whole reset and a rebuild they want to do. So they have at least they have a healthy purse. Nevertheless, 9 crore should be more than good enough to build a real solid Indian core and get their nice blend of international experience in. So I'm looking forward to how Gujarat go. They definitely have really good opportunity. And lastly, moving on to UP Warriors, the team who I think, for me, arguably did the best, had the best retention and release. Uh, I think they've nailed it. I really do. Abhishek Nair, of course, is the new head coach, and I think he's got a spot on. Like you can see his words as well. They wanted a clean slate. They wanted to really build a fresh new core, and they've opted to just retain the one solitary player, uncapped player, in Shweta Sherawat, who was a consistent figure across last cycle, very talented. So I think that's a worthy retention. And most importantly, they go into the auction with 14.5 core and 4 RTM options available. I think that is just really going to be so vital. I think UP, given the purse they have and the RTM options, I think they will and they should be able to bully all other four franchises. They should be able to handpick players whoever they want. I think they can and they should be able to get a will. So I think they've nailed it. I think I would have done a similar thing, and it just gives them a lot of flexibility. Now you can look at likes of Deep Sharma, Sophie Eccleston, who could have easily been retained, and they would have had a case for their retention. I'm sure they would have discussed upon that. But at the same time, I don't think either of those players would have fetched, or based on their performance in last cycle, do they demand a 3.5 core, uh, pay package? I don't think you can say that. I think they can get both of them for cheaper costs at the auction. They can easily RTM them. They have four RTMs available, and they're going to save money as well. So I think it's very smart. They've played it really coolly, and not only will they be able to get their players back at ease, um, whoever they want at will, of the other four franchises, that the notable releases, they'll be able to get them as well. So I think they've really smashed it out of the park. When I look at this UP Warrior setup, Abhishek Nair is a very, very experienced coach, in the Indian setup now, in the domestic setup, IPL setup. He's been largely successful. So I'm sure having someone like him in the think tank will definitely amplify their operations. And I'm really excited, really looking forward to how UP go about their business, because I think this is a golden opportunity they have to build a serious core here, given the purse, the retentions, the RTMs. They can really have their say, and they should really be able to flex their muscles come auction time, and really stamp their authority on all four franchises. But lastly, again, like I said, notable releases do include Deepti Sharma, Sophia Eccleston, Alyssa Healy, Talia McGrath, Alana King, Kranti God, and Chanel Henry. Um, and that was that for the WPL retention and releases. Um, the mega auction is in 2 weeks' time. I can't wait for it. Do let me know in the comments below which players you're most looking forward to uh, coming in the auction. Who do you see envisage going where? And if you did enjoy it, do like, comment, and subscribe to Cric Is It. There's a lot more WPL content and IPL content coming on the way. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, love, and guidance.